The goal of the show is to help you break in and thrive in advertising. We do that every single week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. On our LinkedIn, we post advertising news you need to know in 60 seconds or less. You should follow us there at Breaking and Entering Media. It's unlike any other ad news you've ever seen before. Today, you will learn from Tom Denari. Tom is the CEO of an agency called Young and Laramore. They're based out in Indianapolis. Their building is an old school building. So they have a gymnasium in their actual office, which is so incredible. But he's been there essentially his whole career. He broke into advertising at this agency after he was struggling to find a job. He got his MBA and then found Young and Laramore. And he's been there the entire time and rose the rankings, and now he's the CEO. So this episode is good for anybody that wants to break in the industry. It's good for anybody interested in account management. And it's also a good understanding of sometimes it's good to stay put. I know the jump around trend is hot right now. Every couple of years, you get a new job. Well, Tom's going to talk about the opposite and the benefits of that. They have a conference coming up as well. It's called Unreasonable. It's a modern look at consumer motivations. It's an annual conference that he founded in 2019. It's coming up September 26th. You can learn more about it at unreasonableevent.com. They're bringing together advertising professionals, marketers, but also academics, behavioral scientists, and that academic purview, bringing them together in one roof is so incredible. I've never seen any event like that before. So go check it out. September 26th. Buy your tickets now. Now on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Ellie. All right, Tom Denari, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Gino. It's great to be here.
Pumped to have you. You came in from Indianapolis this morning. Is this correct? Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We're going to learn about you, what it's like to be a president and CEO at Young and Laramore. I want to know about the agency, how you came to the top of it, and your best advice for the next generation.
Sure.
How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds legal? All right. First question out the gate here, not advertising related. What do you like to do outside of work?
I like to work out a lot. I run about 25 to 28 miles a week. And
Wow.
then my wife and I have a tandem bike, and on weekends, we do a lot of rides with our tandem. A lot of people think, oh, how can you do that together? I think it's a great test we've been married for 39 years. It's a good test of teamwork and togetherness, and we can have conversations while we're riding. It's just a lot of fun.
Interesting. Who's in the front? Who's the back?
I'm in the front.
Okay.
She trusts me, so.
What is that? Do you have to steer? You control the ship there?
I do steer. So I'm used to steering things, I guess. It's kind of what I do.
But the power comes from
She brings the power.
Yeah.
She brings the power.
That makes sense.
But it's funny because people don't see tandems very often. And so we get big smiles whenever we ride. That guy, oh, there's a tandem. It's a lot of fun.
And are you doing it for exercise or is it leisurely? Are you going for miles? Are you going around the block? What is this?
We'll do 25, 30 miles at a time.
So
we'll
goodness.
go up someplace, have brunch or something, and then turn around and come back. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And how's the speed on that? Are you going pretty fast?
We're going 12 to 15 miles an hour. I mean,
Okay.
we're not humming, but we're pretty good speed.
Incredible. Does she work in advertising?
She does not. She was a former teacher, now retired, and parent coach. So
Nice. Love that. Love that. So lots of working out and tandem bicycle riding. That's good to know. Good to know. Okay. So next is our rapid fire segment where it's not necessarily rapid fire all the time. That's okay. Ellie, our producer, said she likes when people explain, and that's fine by me
do my
too.
best.
Okay. So first question here. Where are you most creative, Tom?
When I'm running, I'm usually listening to a book or a podcast when I'm running.
Like that. I like that. What is your greatest source of inspiration?
I think my dad, his work ethic and care for people.
Where did he work?
He was a teacher and a coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did he
High
coach?
school teacher. He coached basketball. I played for him. And he coached golf as well, and football and other sports. And he taught biology.
Biology.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. My dad was a coach as well.
Yeah.
Football coach, guidance counselor.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best concert you've ever seen?
Whitney Houston at the peak of her powers.
Seriously?
I was in like the third or fourth row in Indianapolis, and you could even see the sweat on her. She was into it. It was pretty amazing.
Love that. Where was that at?
Market Square Arena, which doesn't exist anymore, but that was back in probably the late 80s.
Gotcha. That sounds amazing. What are you currently streaming or watching right now?
Boy, we're waiting for some things. You know, we saw a really interesting session on Ed Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
That was a historical perspective at Ed Sullivan. That's not what I'm streaming lately, but that's the last thing I just saw.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to see how he influenced our culture.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
The Beatles, Ed Sullivan Show. Like, didn't that like put them on the map?
It did put him on the map, but he was very much into welcoming people of color specifically, and really helped change a lot of careers by exposing people that weren't being exposed to a broader audience. And he was just deciding he was going to do that on his own. Even when he got flack from some of his sponsors, he just pushed ahead, said, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. When did he stop doing the show?
1971. So he started in the 50s through 71.
It's a good
run.
Then
he passed away in 73.
Interesting. Okay. What is the greatest place you've ever visited?
Ooh. I might say the in Jerusalem, the old city there. That was pretty amazing to see something that was so old, and where so many cultures come together. We got to do that about 11, 12 years ago. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. Okay. And what's the best thing you've read recently? Could be an article, book, something on social media. What have you read?
My daughter, who is mid-30s, has already written 2 books.
Stop it.
And
that's incredible.
She wrote one that's called Finding Jesus Among Muslims, which is kind of a memoir. And just reread that recently and just, so proud of her. Yeah.
Incredible. So, Tom, that was the rapid fire portion. I feel like you did a great job. I think we kind of did it rapid fire. I'm very pleased. That's the first time we've ever done that. Successful.
First for everything. Yeah, good.
Nice. This is going to be a great episode. All right, Tom, I need to understand the agency Young and Laramore. So how would you describe this to somebody that's never heard it before, maybe wants to know more, like conversation-wise, what's the differentiation point here?
We're a creative agency, first and foremost. I mean, at the end of the day, the creative output is what we do, but it is well-rooted in strategy. And that's, I think, something that makes us different. I look at strategy as a team sport. When I started in this agency years ago, planners were, all the rage, and they were the ones that brought the strategy to the creative team. The creative team would execute that planner's vision. And that didn't make sense to us. I was a team sport athlete as a kid, and I look at advertising as kind of the ultimate team sport from a business standpoint. And so we do strategy and creative as a team. When we do our consumer interviews, it's not just the strategy people doing it. The entire team is involved. So we want to understand why the consumer does what it does. We build that strategy together, and then the creative is wound tightly into the strategy. So you can't see the handoff from strategy to creative. It is built together as a team.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. Can I talk about how refreshing it is just to hear you say we're a creative agency? Because I feel like today there's different names, and people say we're like this collective or this assortment, whatever. Studio is another thing I've been hearing. So I just like when it's just simple to me. I understand you're a creative ad agency. Nothing wrong with that.
No, you can put whatever name on it you want, but at the end of the day, we look at everything as advertising. So product is advertising too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the Apples and the people that have designed great products, that's advertising. So we've never been ashamed of the word advertising. and never been ashamed of being a creative shop, because at the end of the day, to move people, it's got to be a big idea. It's got to be something that's going to connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always been part of our DNA. We were created by two creative people.
Mm-hmm.
And that legacy continues, even though I'm not from the creative side. I'm from the account management and strategy side.
Yeah.
But creative is important.
For sure. So then based in Indianapolis, is this correct? Is there like a neighborhood within Indy that you guys sit in?
We are in the oldest neighborhood, which is called Lockerbie. And we are in a 100-year-old school building. We've been in that building now almost 20 years.
Okay.
It's got a gym in the middle of it with a jungle gym rocket ship.
Yes.
And our offices are in essentially the classrooms that we've opened up on the top floor, the third floor of the school. So it's a lot of fun.
And what was this school before when it was?
It was basically a middle school. It was a public school that had been kind of left for dead back in the 80s. An insurance company kind of revived it, and then we took it over in 2005.
Okay. And you were a part of that process?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you see the transition into the new building, into the school building from before and after?
We did. I mean, we were in a rehabbed building on what's called Massachusetts Avenue, which is now the kind of the cultural district of Indianapolis. And so it was kind of a rehab of an old building then too. And so we were just growing out of that space and needed more space. And at first, when we visited the building, we thought, does this work for us? Then the more we got into it, we thought, oh, this is perfect. And I'm not sure people appreciate it as much. I think we're used to it now after 20 years, but it's an amazing space to be in every day.
Interesting. And this gym, so basketball court?
It's got a wood floor, but the gym was built early enough when basketball was still a very young sport, and there are glass windows all the way around. So it was not really built for basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that's so interesting. So do you have the whole building? Or is it?
We have tenants as well. So we inhabit about half the building, and then we have tenants in the other.
Do you guys own the building?
We do. Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that's its own revenue driver right there.
Yeah.
Nice. Smart. Okay. So clients that you guys have worked with, what was the founding client for this agency? Do you have that knowledge from?
Yeah. I mean, I've been with the agency for 36 years. So, the agency started in 83. I started in 89.
Okay.
And I would say that the client that probably changed our trajectory was Steak and Shake restaurants.
Fantastic fries.
And if you're from the Illinois area, I know you know Steak and Shake well. And we took Steak and Shake on in 1990 when they had about 117 stores. And we worked with them for about 18 years, helped them to grow to over 500 stores. Wow. And then there was a change in leadership and that relationship ended. But,
of course.
But
I think it's important to pay respects to that founding client who really put you on the map, and something to be proud of, whether or not that relationship still exists.
It did. And it's funny because I got my MBA from the Kelley School of Business, which is part of Indiana University.
For sure.
But it wasn't called Kelley then. It was just Indiana University School of Business. Turns out the CEO of Steak and Shake at the time was a guy named Ed Kelley. And he's the one who actually hired us in 1990 and then donated the money to fund Kelley. So I kind of jokingly say I have two Kelley MBAs. I have the one from Indiana University, and I have the one working for him for a number of years until he passed away in 2004.
Wow, I had no clue that the Kelley School of Business was named after the Steak and Shake founder.
Yeah.
Founder, CEO?
He was the CEO. He was not the founder.
Okay.
He bought Steak and Shake in the 80s.
And when did you get your MBA?
1989.
And you were in the business already?
No. I had been in the insurance industry. Long story short.
We'll get to that. So we'll back pocket
save that.
We'll get to that. So you worked with Steak and Shake. That was the agency's kind of like big foundational client that put it on the map there. Today, can you give me an overview of some of the clients? I know there's probably a lot, and you want to give love to as many as you can, but what are some clients that we might recognize and know today?
Sure. The longest running client we have right now is with Delta Faucet Company. We helped create their premium brand called Brizo. that we created for them roughly 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a longstanding client. We've also worked with Goodwill Industries of Central Indiana.
Nice.
Since 1996, and for a while we were syndicating that work all over the country, and we've probably syndicated it to probably 90 to 100 markets across the country. We created this guy called the Goodwill Guy who talked about all the cool things that Goodwill did.
Love that.
We work with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. We work now with Spangler Candy Company. They own Dum Dums.
I was going to ask you, what candy are we talking about here?
Dum Dums, that we're working on some brand work for them now. And we retooled their Bit-O-Honey brand about 2.5 years ago. I brought you a couple of packages of Bit-O-Honey.
Love that. Dum Dums. Those are the lollipops.
Mm-hmm.
And if you went to the bank in Lombard, Illinois, and you remember of course, like those tubes,
yeah,
it would suck up the bank, like that, and you get one back. A couple Dum Dums were in there.
That's right.
So I always like that going to the bank.
It's a great candy, and we want to make sure that people don't just look at it as a candy that you get for free. We want people to want to seek it out and buy it.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking dentist office,
right.
Not the dentist office. Do they give out candy at the dentist office? Any doctor?
Keeps people coming back. So yeah,
that's funny. Any sort of doctor's office, or that's what I think of it right now. So that'll be a fun creative challenge, and there's so many flavors too. So incredible. And so you've been in this business. You've been at the agency how long?
36 years.
36 years. That's longer than I've been alive by
quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to definitely understand, and this is all the account track that you've worked your way up. I'm sure you did some new business in there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Because I feel like to become a CEO, you have to get a little new business in you.
Well, and when you're a smaller agency, everyone kind of pitches in to new business, but then that becomes a bigger part of your role as you move up the chain.
Gotcha. So give me a little teaser of what we're going to learn the rest of this episode, Tom.
I think you're going to learn why it's good and maybe even important to stay at one place for your career, which is very different.
That's a different take.
Yeah.
That's a very different take. I was told, or I've heard, to move around, you get better pay. You can maybe jump up the career ladder if you move around every couple of years.
That's probably true. I think that's absolutely true. But for me, what's interesting about what I've done is what I've helped to build. Mm-hmm. I'm not resting on someone else's shoulders. Like I said before, I see advertising as the ultimate team sport.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, we've built this team that works really well together and trusts each other and pulls the same direction. And so it's fun to build a national agency in Indianapolis, Indiana, with this group of people.
What is the ad market like in Indianapolis?
It's a tough market because we don't have many home offices that have consumer marketing brands.
Okay.
And those that have, in many cases, they sell to larger companies. So while we do have, Delta Faucet's a good example, in the Indianapolis area, we have to seek brands outside of our home market. Spangler's a good example. They're in Bryan, Ohio. We've had clients in Columbus and Charlotte and all over. So, so it's not an easy market to be an advertising agency.
Gotcha. But you're one of the few that I know based out over there.
Sure.
So that's great as well. Well, let's get into your story then, Tom. At what point did you realize you wanted to make ads or be a part of the ad making process for a living? Where were you? What were you wearing? Do you regret it?
Good question. Does my wife regret it? No. When I was younger, I was very much into art. I like to draw. I like to put these little posters together and things like that. But I never pursued art as something in high school. Went to an all-male liberal arts school in Crawfordsville, Indiana, Wabash College, and was just kind of on a law school track. I was an econ major, English lit minor. That's the path I was on. And then an alum came back. He had been out of school for a few years, and he had been working at Leo Burnett in client service. And he presented, you're a team leader, you help to manage people, and helped me realize, oh, I can be in this business, but not be a writer or an art director or artist. And so that's what lit the fuse for me. And so graduated, sent a bunch of letters to ad agencies thinking, oh, maybe I can get in some training program. I got a stack full of letters that
we have the actual letters. The rejection letters, right? Is this what we're saying?
Yeah. Lots of companies that don't exist anymore that sent me ding letters. And so the advice I got back then was you need to get an MBA to put you in a position to meet advertising agencies. So that's why I decided to go to school and go to IU to get an MBA. And that's where I started.
So they told you you should get an MBA to go into and did you know the account track? That's what you wanted to go into?
You know, it was interesting. At the time, Leo Burnett required an MBA to get into account management. If you didn't, you had to go through media. And so, again, this is the mid-'80s. It's a lot different now than it was then, but that was the track that they required. So, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'll give it a try.
So you did that at Kelly.
I did.
So the timeline, you graduate, you're trying to get a job, you're getting these rejection letters, which you have still to this day. And then you enroll right into an MBA.
No,
right?
I worked for a couple of years for an insurance company. The first job I had, I was a work management analyst, which meant I timed clerical people.
Wow. Riveting.
So I started that job, took the GMAT to get into grad school, deferred a year to save money. And then, so I worked for 2 years before I went back to school.
How did that feel? Like in that moment where you want to be doing something else, you have to wait, you're in this holding pattern. Like, how did you handle that?
It was a tough time because you felt like you knew what you wanted to do, but you couldn't get there yet.
Yeah.
And even then there was, even in school, there was anxiety because again, I had my sights set on Leo Burnett. I mean, that was my mindset.
Damn, Leo Burnett. That was what I thought too.
Yeah.
I put all my eggs in that agency.
I did too. Did you get an offer?
No.
I didn't either.
No.
I didn't either.
Screw them.
Yeah. And so, but the good news was, I met a guy named David Young who had this small little agency. It was a hot creative shop in Indianapolis. And we just kind of hit it off. And they were actually looking for a new business person. And I got on the interview list and we just were chatting about stuff. And again, we hit it off. I think he saw something in me that he wanted as a part of his agency. And even at that time, I think he saw me as maybe a future leader. That's just kind of the guy he was. And so he made me an offer. And this is like April of graduation in May. And but he said, we've got this account that's a small agency. We have this account that's teetering. We're not sure it's gonna commit for another year. I don't think I can afford you yet. So, but I probably can do it by October. So what if we started you in September, October? And this is April.
Wow.
And I said, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yep. That's the right move.
To that.
That's the right move right there. Say yes. Yeah. You'd always find something else, take another offer.
Exactly.
You don't want to shut that door.
So then, we're having lunch and he said, so what do you think you'll do in the meantime? Like, I don't know, get a job or do something. And he said, what if I start you at like half salary just to get you in the door and going? I said, okay. And he said, if the client commits sooner, then we'll flip it. And so I went for it. And within 6 weeks, they committed. And Great. It was all good. So it didn't last very long. But, I think showing that level of commitment said something to him too. And I was just ready to jump in. I think part of it, I didn't want to wait, kind of your point.
You already
I was
waited.
ready to go.
You waited a long time. And
Let's go.
And this is right when you got done with your MBA,
right?
Which is a 2-year program.
2-year full-time program.
Yeah, that's tough.
And so, I'm starting at, half of that salary, which is probably a quarter of what a lot of MBAs that were going into brand management were doing.
Right.
Sales for Eli Lilly.
Did you ever think about when your cohort, your friends, your peers in the MBA program looking at like the PepsiCos of the world and these big brands and the brand side? You're qualified now, technically, right?
Sure.
Did you ever think about going that path?
No. I think especially in account management, I always say that you have to have kind of a certain sickness for agency life. And I think I have it. And so...
Oh, you have it.
I just, obviously.
You got it.
So I never was tempted that way. And, we were talking before, my dad was a coach. Money's never been a driver for me. It just hasn't been what I follow. I want to do really great work for really cool brands, and the rest will kind of take care of itself. And that's been my focus. So it's never been about the next job or the next, step up. I just felt like kick butt on what you're doing right now and everything will turn out well.
Gotcha. And the name of that first agency was what? What was the name of that first agency that you got a job at?
Oh, Leo Burnett.
No, you got a job at.
Oh, Young and Laramore.
That was Young and Laramore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So I've been at Young and Laramore from day one.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So 36 years at one agency.
Okay. I think that might be the record on this show.
Probably.
That might be the record at one agency.
The record in the industry. I don't know. Leo Burnett might have more years. I don't know. He might have. Did he get to 36? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But no, that is incredible. And that was how you broke in. And then you started at half salary. It converted to a full-time role. What was that client that was on the...
It was Kimball Office Furniture, a company in Jasper, Indiana, B2B. At the time, Young and Laramore had a lot of B2B clients, a lot of graphic design stuff. Over the years, we've shifted more to B2C. We do a little bit of B2B work and have a large client in Cummins that we do work for, a lot of strategy and creative as well. But we've shifted our focus over time.
I love that. I want to know what's in that folder right there on this table.
That was my 8th grade career notebook. We had to research different careers, and I looked at it, and I had 5, 3 of which were all professional sports. One was graphic design, and the other was PR. And so, in early days, I obviously was interested, but that kind of went dormant in high school. I didn't pursue art. I pursued more of a kind of a academic track, I would say.
Gotcha. Can we look at that?
Sure.
Because it's true. I want to see if this is true here.
So we've got professional basketball. We've got commercial art, and specifically art and advertising layout man.
Can I see the handwriting? This is in 8th grade?
Pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, that is very good handwriting.
You had to describe the work setting. It says, offices are well furnished and well lighted. Freelance studios are not as plush as agencies. That's probably true.
Okay.
Had that nailed.
Pretty
Had
good.
that nailed, right?
Wow. Where are you doing this research? Who's giving you these
Who knows?
answers?
I can't remember who was giving this information.
8th grade.
Sure was some encyclopedia or something back in the day.
That's nice. No chat GPT back then.
That was, I don't even say what year that was.
Incredible. And it all kind of worked out. You figure out your way there. No professional sports, but tandem bicycling could be a professional sport. Should be.
The Olympics has almost anything anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be like a tandem rodeo because you kind of have to go around different things.
Absolutely. So the agency today, you worked your way up in the account management track, and you mentioned some shifts in that, and you've been at one shop. And had you ever thought about leaving, like looking at different job offers? What kept you staying so long?
I think just, it's about the work and the people. And what I mean by that is, as a group, we have really high standards, and we all share in that together. And then, when you believe in the people that you work with, we have some amazing, talented, multi-talented people, super smart people. And so you don't want to let them down. And so as you're building this agency together, there's this bond that forms with all those people. And so when you look at our partnership group, I've been with this 36 years. One of our ECDs been 22 years. The other one is just turned 20. Our head of our media company is 27 years. And our head of strategy, who's kind of the baby of the group, been with us 8 years. Mm-hmm. So we've got and then we've got people that have been with us even longer. So.
Yeah. Wow. So the good people, good clients, no reason to leave.
No.
I love that. I love it. And the proof is in the pudding here. So then what's next? How do you learn and get inspired and reiterate and reinvent yourselves, or is there no reinvention?
I don't think it's reinvention. I think it's evolution. I think, people always say, oh, this is the biggest change we're seeing ever. Well, they were saying that in 1995. They were saying that in 2000. I mean, there's always change. Mm-hmm. And so as the leader, I've got to make sure we're assembling a team that is staying ahead of those changes without just chasing shiny objects that take you down a path of kind of wasting time and money. At the end of the day, you've got to look out for your clients. And so the clients you have, in some cases, help shape how your agency evolves too, because you are making sure you are serving what that agency is doing, what that client is doing, as opposed to just building up a repertoire that you do for you. So you've got to figure out what it is that your agency needs, and then make sure you have the team and the resources available to help support them.
Totally. So then, like, in your career there, what was like a big fundamental moment where you said to yourself, I'm going to be good at this stuff?
I think the strategy stuff probably, I came in as an account manager essentially, and we didn't have planners. So our account team at the time was responsible for strategy. Mm-hmm. And so because so many of us didn't come from other agencies, we didn't have any preconceived ideas of how to do it. In that way, we're kind of pure in that we just decide this is what we think is the right thing to do. And so very early on, we did our own qualitative research. Rather than hiring a company to do it, we just did it ourselves. And so we would take video cameras, go into people's homes, and interview them one-on-one, rather than doing focus groups and that kind of stuff. And from that, it really began to build our process. And we said, okay, let's have the entire team go. So we would go in pairs of 2 to people's homes. Yeah. And it would be amazing how much the creative people would get, because now they're engaging with the target audience as well.
You were saying that earlier, the integration of strategy and creative roles and like bringing them together, I think is so important. And that's, from back then, it seems the roots were there.
And creative people are really smart. So if you just bring them a strategy, they're going to ask you 100 questions about what about this, what about that, what about that?
Or they'll say, I don't believe that. Exactly. Or like they'll question it or they'll do their own thing. Exactly. So I like it, bringing them a part of that process. So they're not skeptical.
So it's created and baked together. So then once you agree, you would hold hands, say, this is the strategy with the client.
Yeah. That's where the account person comes in.
Exactly. Then you're ready to go. And I think that's what's made our work strong, is that it's seamless in that way. It's not like, oh, I see the strategy there. You shouldn't see the strategy. Again, it needs to make that audience member feel something. They shouldn't be thinking too much about it.
Tom, what's your superpower looking back at your career?
I'm not sure I have a superpower. I'll be honest about that. But I think if there's something that I'm pretty good at, it's breaking down strategy and being honest with clients about it. About 20 years ago, the Delta Faucet Company came to us with a problem. They had a premium brand they called Delta Select, and it was not doing well in the showrooms. And they asked us to figure out how to solve this problem. So we did our typical research, talking to consumers and showroom associates and designers about the premium faucet category, because this was a category where you're doing a kitchen remodel or something that's expensive. And, the Delta brand was a well-known brand, but in the premium context, when people heard the word Delta, they thought, well, that's something for the masses. And so even though the Delta Select faucets were beautiful faucets, it just felt like something anyone else could have. It just felt too accessible. And so in breaking that down, one of the things we said to Delta was, whatever you do with this brand, you need to separate as far away from Delta as possible. Position as far away from Delta as possible. And that was kind of hard for them to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, Delta's a strong brand. Why? And at first we thought literally we were going to be fired because it was just, you're not degrading that brand, but you're saying it's not appropriate for this situation in this category. But after a couple of weeks, they kind of molded it over and they came back and they said, we understand. We get it. We understand what you're saying. And so we then came back to them and said, okay, let's talk about a positioning. And we found some white space in the fashion category. And we came to them and said, we think you should name this Brizo, B-R-I-Z-O. Sounds kind of European, doesn't sound for the masses. It sounds like it's something that's much more elevated, much more premium. And so I think breaking something down into something simple that a client can really understand is something that I think as an agency, I think we do pretty well.
I love that. And they ended up using that?
They did, yeah. It's a 20-year-old brand now.
Nice.
In year 3, after launching Brizo, we signed a young designer at the time named Jason Wu, who was an up-and-coming designer, and now if you follow the fashion category, he's a household name, and he's had a couple of collaborations with Brizo as well in helping design products.
Fantastic. I love that. I wanted to break into account management, and I think a lot of our listeners do too. So what would you tell me if I were to break into account management today? What are the skills? What's the mindset, intelligence that I need to be successful at an ad agency?
I think you need to, it's funny, some people would say study the industry. What I would say is study consumers and human behavior, really understand what makes people tick, what makes people do what they do. And then understand how advertising achieves those things. Compared to when I was trying to break into the business, there's so much more information that young people have now. And so you have information at your fingertips that we didn't have. So understand how some campaigns work and be able to talk about them fluently. That was something I probably didn't do very well when I did my early interviews. But today, there's so much information, you ought to be able to do it pretty easily.
Gotcha. Speak towards the campaign, study human truths there, and any sort of things that you wish you would have known when you were first starting about account management?
That everything's going to be okay.
Like that.
There is so much angst in working with a big client, how it's going to go. Are you going to lose that client? It felt like a lot of pressure all the time. And, with Steak and Shake was a good example. We worked with them for 18 years, but it was never easy. It's always about the next campaign, always about sales growth. And, you could knock the ball out of the park for that year. If you had 20% gains, which we did some years, then you've got to hurdle those numbers the next year. And so that puts another set of pressure. So
nonstop.
So that put a lot of pressure on you. And I would say, work hard, do your best, and try to let go of the emotion if you can. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about the work.
I like that. And now you kind of have that stress with your own agency.
For sure.
Hurdles and yeah, I get that as a business owner too. But this has been great. I guess, how can people reach out to you, Tom? Is there anything that we should know about coming up in the future for the Young and Laramore that we should know about?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about our conference coming up, which is Unreasonable, on September 26th in Indianapolis. It's something that we started in 2019. And you know, talking about studying consumer behavior, I think one of the things that is challenging for marketers is that they think consumers are much more rational than they are. We often talk about people make emotional decisions. It's like we all of our decision making is emotional, and in some cases, I don't even like using the word emotional because I think sometimes using the word emotion makes you think of love and hate and very simple things. It takes you toward heartstring pulling advertising. I like to think of it as non-rational. And what are the motivations that are actually getting people to do what they do without really articulating it? So the example I like to use, there's no rational reason to buy a luxury car.
Mm-mm. No.
If the purpose of a car is to get from point A to point B, you would buy the cheapest, most efficient car you would buy. But in our culture, people spend lots and lots of money on luxury cars. And if I asked you, if you have a luxury car, why you bought it, you would probably talk about rational things like safety ratings or all the bells and whistles it has and all these things. But in our culture, a car says a lot about who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably wouldn't tell me, hey, I want to make sure everybody knows how successful I am. But that's probably the thing that's really the motivation. So when we do our research with consumers, we want to understand that, what we call unspoken truth. What's the thing that is motivating that consumer that they can't either articulate or maybe they don't want to articulate? And so the Unreasonable Conference is really to highlight all the ways that people are motivated that they can't always articulate. So we bring in PhDs from all over the country that have done research on various aspects of consumer behavior. Like this year, we've got people talking about how dignity affects consumer behavior, how to frame numbers, value. We even have Michael Lewis from Emory talking about fandom and how to attract fans. And he studied fandom in sports and how to connect that to brand fandom as well.
Ooh,
So open to the public. Tickets are on sale.
Yeah.
You can find them at unreasonableevent.com. But it's been a great event. And what's been really interesting with the speakers that we've had, starting in 2019, recruiting speakers has been easier every year because we've had such quality speakers that when they find out who's been in it and who's spoken, like, oh, she's been in it. Oh, I'll be a part of that too. So
yeah, there's a motivation right there. I love it. This is one of the few agency conferences that I've heard of, or really industry conferences that ties in academia.
Yeah.
Because I have a master's degree myself and I know that world. I respect that world. And even in academia, there is a split between the terminal PhD professors versus the associate professors of practice. Sure. There's always a divide. So the fact that you're bringing in agency professionals, people with experience in the industry with academics in one place, I've never heard of that before. I think that's got to be really interesting.
It's a very energizing conference for people. We've had great turnout. So many conferences I feel like are just vanity plays where people talk about the cool things they've done, where this is really about learning. This is really about hearing from the people that are doing the field work and the research.
Might as well listen to them. I mean, they're doing it. And I don't know if I think we might be paying for it if you live, in a state, right? I guess you're funding some of their research.
Exactly.
You might as well get in there and figure out what the heck they've been saying.
And then how to apply it. Because I think what happens is, well, we might talk abstractly about the fact that we understand that people make decisions based on non-rational factors. Then when it comes to actually applying that to our marketing, we get stuck again.
Yeah.
And I think we, as humans, fool ourselves into thinking we are more rational than we are, because we always have reasons for what we do. There's a really interesting metaphor. Jonathan Haidt, I don't know if you've read the book or heard about the book, The Anxious Generation. He wrote about cell phones in schools and things like that. He's a social psychologist. And he talks about this metaphor for the brain of an elephant and a rider. The elephant is the emotional part of your brain. The writer who's sitting on top is the rational part. And if you think about that image, who's got the control? Well, the elephant is pretty much going to do whatever it wants.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer, the rational part of the brain can kind of try to guide it a little bit, but probably isn't very successful. So if you don't appeal to the elephant, you're probably not going to be very successful. But the writer's job might simply be to explain why the elephant did what it did. And so in a lot of marketing, you'll hear about reasons to believe.
Mm-hmm.
We flip that to be reasons to justify. So the way to think about it is when somebody makes a decision, it's usually about a feeling. And then they use the fact to justify it. So it's not that facts aren't important, but I think a lot of people think that they get a bunch of facts and those facts are going to inform it and I'm going to make the decision based on the facts. It actually works the opposite. I have a feeling about something and then I might use the fact to justify that feeling to make me feel better about the purchase I made. And so as marketers, as advertising agencies, our goal is not to make someone think about something. Our goal is to make someone feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we try to do with our work.
I love that. I love that. So other professionals can go to this conference and take away some of those lessons, and they should probably revisit their ways of working as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like I said, it's an energizing event. It's like a TED conference. We have 8 speakers, 20 to 25 minutes apiece. So there's a good rhythm to it.
Yeah.
You never feel like, okay, I'm done with this person. You want more.
I like that.
So it's a lot of fun.
Great. Well, how can other people reach out to you if they have questions about your journey, your advice, if they want to say hello or they want to work with you, if they're client side? What's the best route? 2 ways. Our website, yandl.com, and you can find me on that website. LinkedIn is always good too. I'm active on LinkedIn as well, so always happy to respond to people and communicate that way too. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Tom. Appreciate it. Thanks, Gio.